Megan and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my August book haul. Now for the month of August, I have so many things, so many exciting things to talk about. I'm not gonna lie, I splurged and bought myself quite a few exciting books this month, and we're kind of coming up in that book release season where all of my most anticipated books are coming out. I don't know, fall, winter book hauls are just the creme of the creme, the cream of the crop, if you will. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first two books I'm actually gonna chat about today are ebooks, and I'm so honored to say I am partnering with Libby for this portion of this video. If you guys aren't familiar, Libby is the greatest reading app of all time. It has changed my life. Libby is basically a library app, and it's in partnership with Overdrive, which is the technology that fuels the ebook and audiobook portion of a lot of libraries. So this app, basically you put in your library cards into it. You can put in more than one, and you basically can access that library's Overdrive drive and rent ebooks and audiobooks directly on your device. It's so convenient. I can't laud it enough. It's so easy to navigate, easily searchable. You can also save books on there for later, so kind of build yourself a TBR shelf. You can put books on hold, you can rent, return, everything through the app. You can also sync your books, so if you read on your phone like me, when I commute in the morning, I read all my ebooks on my phone, but you can also pick that book up on a Kindle, on your computer, and it will always sync to the page that you're on. Seriously life-changing. I got in a really bad habit of basically buying books twice, a physical book and an ebook for my commute. But now, by utilizing the power of the local library, I have been renting my ebooks and just returning them. It has seriously been a huge game changer, and I love that it can sync up to whatever like e-reading you prefer. And it's accessible on both Apple and Android. So if you guys are one, not a member of your local library, this is your chance to change that forever, and two, not utilizing your local library's ebook and audiobook library, I 100% challenge you to do so. I'll leave a link down to the app below. Seriously, changes the game. Everything is free. It's amazing. Libraries are the bomb, and so is Libby. The book I currently have rented out on Libby is City of Miracles by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is book 3 to the Divine Cities trilogy that I've just been marathoning, and this is actually my current commute read. This is the third and final book to this trilogy. I'm really sad it's over, but it's just an incredible and so unique fantasy series. It basically combines like geopolitical thriller elements to a traditional fantasy setting, and you kind of get this very hybrid, unique reading experience. Each novel kind of follows a different main character, and we actually progress quite a bit through time in each one, and we're kind of centered in a new city, but the themes of like spy, conflict, like nations teetering on the edge of something are always kind of present. The main characters are also really interesting, generally pretty gray, so there's a lot of morality that's kind of explored, which I also love. Again, big fan of this series. I currently have it rented out on Libby. The next book I have on my saved list that I am also about to rent from the library is Lies of Locke Lamora. This is a reread for me, and one that I just feel like I need to give another try. I read it like 5 years ago and I didn't love it, but like the case with some of my fantasy rereads, I don't know, I just sometimes get this feeling of being wrong the first time I read something and not liking it, so I feel like I need to give the Lies of Locke Lamora another chance. This is a swashbuckling fantasy story that basically you're following like a ragtag team of rogues that are stealing stuff or part of some sort of like criminal band of something. They could actually be good guys. I'm not sure, but I've heard obviously it's a super popular novel within the fantasy world. I want to give it another chance, so I figured it would be a perfect thing to rent from the library and give it a try as my next commute read once I finish City of Miracles. So those are my two ebooks that I'm going to chat about. Again, I'll have a link to the Libby app down below. I highly recommend you guys downloading it and giving it a try, but let's move on to my physical copies. So as I said, I treated myself this month to quite a large book order, so I'm really excited about all of these books, and I'm hopefully going to be reading them all pretty soon over the next 2 to 4 months. But the first two books I picked up are part of the same series. One is Stone Cold Touch, and the other is Every Last Breath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. These are books 2 and 3 to the... Honestly, I don't know what this series is called. The Dark Element series. I read the first novel this month, White Hot Kiss, again, most ridiculous name out in the game, and I really liked it. And I obviously read the first book in the spin-off series, so I'm trying to kind of wrap this whole series up. I found it super entertaining. I have just been flying through them, and as I've been kind of mentioning a lot in videos recently, I'm kind of in like this like angsty YA mood, so these are perfect for that sort of thing. But this basically follows our main character who lives in a world where demons exist and protectors protect humans from said demons, and these individuals are called gargoyles, and they turn into these like rock monsters. I don't know how else to describe that, but our main character is actually half demon, half gargoyle, so she's kind of torn between two worlds. In the first one, she meets a really hot demon. There's romantic conflict, there's literal conflict. It's very entertaining. It's exactly what you would expect it to be, so I'm excited to check out books 2 and 3. Also thrilled these got a cover redesign. I will leave the original covers up. See what I mean? Next book I picked up was The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. This just sounded really interesting to me and right up my alley. I read some initial reviews, by the way, very positive reviews, and a lot of the negative stuff was just like, the world was confusing. And if there's anything that's a buzzword for me within YA fantasy, I love when people think the world is confusing, because that means hopefully it's like really rich and has lots of like interesting folds to it. So I'm excited about that. I believe this is just a multi-POV YA fantasy world following a very distinct and interesting cast of characters, particularly a future chieftain, a fugitive prince, a 2 cunning bodyguard, and 1 grumpy gray tabby. All of those things deeply intrigue me, and I'm just really excited to see kind of where this takes off. I'm sure it has a really unique magic system. I hope there's a lot of like ragtag teaming up with each other to try to overthrow some sort of establishment. Lastly, this line on the back definitely sold me. It wasn't that Fee wanted to burn the world down, no. She just wanted the world to know that she could. Love a power-hungry main character. Next is one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is The Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This is book 2 to the Dance of Thieves series, which is the spin-off to the Remnant Chronicles. Lots of connections there, but just know that this is a super exciting second book to a series that's set in the same world as the Remnant Chronicles, but follows a new set of characters. Basically, in the first one, we have 2 main POVs, and one is a character kind of sent to investigate this sort of united and independent city-state sort of thing, living and existing within an empire where they should not be having their own political rules and should be deferring to the crown. This city is kind of described to be sort of like mob-ish, but in a fantasy world, and then the other POV is the leader of this city, the one that's kind of the head of this family that's in charge of this particular city, and these 2 characters kind of meet, butt heads, there's romantic sparks, but they kind of hate each other. The first one was super entertaining. The end was very explosive, so I'm excited to see kind of where the story takes off. I'll definitely need a refresher before I can jump into this, but regardless, I'm really interested by it. Love the cover, love Mary E. Pearson's writing, so this should be great. The next book I picked up was Modern Fairy Tales by Holly Black. This is actually a bind-up, like a newly released, very fancy bind-up of the Tithe, Valiant, and Ironside series that Holly Black put out many, many years ago. I had the first one to that series, again, maybe in early high school, and I just never got around to it, but with me absolutely falling in love with Holly Black's newer Fae series, Wicked King and The Cruel Prince, I figured I should really check out this newly released bind up of these 3 novels because they are Fae, and I just feel like Holly Black is an amazing Fae writer. Everything is just dark and delicious. I've also heard that all of her Fae novels kind of like take place in the same universe, which really intrigues me, so I'm kind of curious to see how they collide. I also have heard that certain characters like pop up in some of her other books, so I want to have that context moving forward. And this just sounds like a very traditional Fae setup. Young girl saves the life of a mysterious young man, turns out he's a Fae. I hope they fall in love. I hope there's lots of drama, and I don't know, I'm really, really interested to read this. I really love the new bind-up collection of it, so I saw it and I definitely picked it up. Has really positive reviews across the board, so I'm really hoping to actually pick this up soon, maybe early fall. Next book I have to show off is super exciting because it's one of my most anticipated books of the year. In fact, I got it a little bit early, which I can't believe, but it is 5 Dark Fates by Kendar Blake. This is book 4 to the 3 Dark Crowns series, which is by far and away one of my favorites ever. I feel like I talk about it all the time on my channel, and it's because it's just incredible. But this is the 4th book to a very dark YA fantasy story. Basically, it's set on this island that's ruled by this long-reigning matriarch, And how the matriarch comes into power is that she gives birth to triplets, always triplets, and each triplet has a different power within the island. They're each raised by a different magical clan, and then when they come of age, they have to kill each other off, and the winner takes the crown. So that's kind of like the initial setting of this, but you're basically following these sisters, kind of having to come to terms with their love and hate for one another, come to terms with possibly having to kill each other off. There's also complications of boys and other political dimensions thrown in there. It's so good. Also wonderfully written, fantastic characters, great plots. I don't know where this fourth one is gonna go, but I cannot wait to find out. Definitely gonna be reading this as soon as I can, and I'll be sure to document the process for all of you. But yeah, I can't wait. So I'm not going to, and I'm gonna read it really fast. Next are the 2 books I picked out for myself from Book of the Month. The first one is House of Salt and Sorrows, which I've actually already read this month, but this is a new YA dark fantasy release that's basically a dark retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. You basically follow a family that's really well off. They're like a duke or something, and they live in this island nation. And at the beginning of the story, everyone thinks their family's cursed because so far 3 of the sisters have died, the mom has died, and it just seems like there's really no answer as to what's going on, so people just assume something is going on with them. The father in the beginning of this book gets remarried, and there's lots of conflict there, but overall the sisters are really, really close. This setting of this novel is like super eerie. It's set on a seaside and has that great atmosphere. 12 Dancing Princesses is really cool, and I think it's a unique retelling. But overall, this is not a wrap up, but there's a really cool sisterly bond in this. Definitely spooky, scary, got my heart going. And yeah, lots of atmosphere, liked this a lot, but yeah, I did pick this up this month. I got Well Met. This is a contemporary novel, which I probably shouldn't buy because I haven't read a contemporary novel all summer, so I totally failed at that. But I couldn't say no because this is about 2 people falling in love after they meet at a Renaissance festival, and that just sounded so cute to me that I just had to buy it. I love a Renaissance festival, I love fantasy, so I feel like this is like, if fantasy met contemporary, we would have this book, kinda. So that's kind of all I know about it. That's kind of all I want to know about it. But yeah, Ren Festival love. I mean, what more could you possibly want? The very last book I have to show off this month is You Go Bernadette. This is the movie tie-in edition. I was actually lucky enough to see an early screening of this movie with Cate Blanchett. Loved the movie so much. But I still really want to pick up this book, and now I have a copy with Cate Blanchett's face on it. But yeah, really happy to have this in my hands. But this is basically about a family, and essentially the mother is going through a hard time. She's kind of having a bit of an identity crisis, and she struggles, and a way for her to try to figure it out is that she literally kind of disappears, and the father and daughter go on a journey to try to find her. It's really good, it's very family centric, and I again loved the movie, so I'm excited to see how the book kind of differs from the movie, but happy to have it. Alrighty guys, those are all of the books I picked up in the month of August. Let me know down below some books you've gotten recently, as I would love to know, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!